Hey guys, welcome back. So, I gotta say, man, these kids these days, they just growing up too fast. Especially these kids from Titan, man. Like, I don't know what they feeding them. I mean, they shooting up to over 300 pounds in a few weeks. Mostly muscle, though. So, I guess it ain't too bad of a thing, but still, I'm just saying. But either way, let's get into some more talk about Cosmic Ghost Rider and Step Baby Thanos. So, first and foremost, I gotta say, if you are not reading this series, like, if you pick and choose what you pick out to read or whatever for whatever reason, that's cool, but I gotta say two things. One, this ain't one you want to skip over. And two, the way that Marvel Legacy is tying so many things together right now and doing such in an insanely well way. Like, it is phenomenal. The narratives, the art, all of that. Donny Cates, Jerry Dugan, Jeff Shaw, like, hats off. But one of the main reasons I urge people to really get into Cosmic Ghost Rider now is one, because it's freaking awesome. Two, I would say because it's so ridiculous. And I say that because I get these kind of comments all the time, like when the issue comes out, like way before I do a video. But I notice a lot of people pointing out that even with it being left field, so far left field, it just works. And that takes a lot of guts for a writer, let alone the publisher, to take that risk but nevertheless come out with something awesome. But three, just to give three reasons. And that's aside from it being awesome, aside from it being left field, Donny Cates still finds a way to draw this in and make it work with the existing Marvel Universe, which happens to have a number of huge events revolving throughout one another, with Avengers No Surrender, the Hunt for Wolverine, the War of Realms, Infinity Wars, just to name a few. But they're also doing this without skimping on the smaller stories that are leading hints towards a lot of new characters meeting up for the first time, which is also exciting. So now for this one, I want to start with the idea of something that has been a constant in the Marvel Universe, and that being the chase for the Infinity Stones. And at one point they were called gems, but for the most part it's the same thing. But the focus to the narrative around the stones, it's changed up over the years, and it's shifted, whether from Infinity War to Infinity Gauntlet to Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. But a constant that we've always seen with any of these narratives has been a connection to Thanos, who we've seen through Thanos Wins goes on to defeat the entire universe single-handedly. And as we get into our talk about the newer Thanos that we're being introduced to, because in Marvel Legacy you have your original present day Thanos, and then you have your future Thanos, the Thanos that would be, the one that's from millions of years in the future that ordered Frank Castle, the Cosmic Ghost Rider, to drag his younger self forward into his time, and doing so mainly with the intention to get his help from himself to team up with himself. Because when Thanos said, "Fine, I'll do it myself," little did the Silver Surfer know that he meant two of himself. And for anyone that's new here, this battle that takes place, that also results in the most recent death of Frank Castle as Cosmic Ghost Rider. Just so you know, I have a playlist down in the description that'll catch you up with everything. And hopefully within that playlist, it'll answer more of the specific questions. So definitely read the comic, definitely check that out so the rest of this video makes sense. But I wanted to first bring up your present day Thanos and your future Thanos, the Thanos that is and the Thanos that would be. Because now that we're getting into a third Thanos, moving forward, I'm thinking of referring to him as the Thanos that could be. And I mean that as in he could be better than the ones we previously talked about, who has constantly been some type of threat or some level of a threat to the entire universe. And with Cosmic Ghost Rider, after his death going to Valhalla and having countless time to think about all the evil deeds Thanos has done, and deciding to go back in time and take him out as a toddler, but quickly changing his mind after giving him the penance stare, which showed Ghost Rider that he didn't do anything yet, and that made him figure, hey, this kid is a blank slate. He doesn't have to be the Thanos that is, he doesn't have to be the Thanos that would be, but perhaps Frank Castle can raise him the right way and make him the Thanos that could be. But for Cosmic Ghost Rider, that's kind of where he stands alone in that way of thinking, because eventually we come to find out that virtually the entire Marvel Universe, from the alternate future that was created when he took Thanos, they highly disagree with this decision. And it's a lot of fun to watch because Cosmic Ghost Rider for the most part has no problem taking on a lot of these guys. Once again, being the spirit of vengeance with the power cosmic, and he's the freaking Punisher. And so the thing is, when he first took Thanos as a toddler, he figured, hey, I gotta get this kid out of here because if I leave him here, he's gonna become a monster and destroy the universe. So the first place he went was to Galactus, who was his friend for millions of years. He endowed Frank with the power of Cosmic, making him his new herald, and with this rapport that he had, Castle figured, hey, this is a tough task. I'm going to Galactus first because I don't know the first thing about being a solo parent. And apparently Galactus doesn't either. I guess he figured since he's had so many heralds over the years, he might know a thing or two. But then again, I think it was more like, let me go to somebody I know from this time period who's crazy powerful and can possibly contribute towards the goal of making Thanos a better man. And so in some way or fashion, this had to be an historical moment. And not just with Cosmic Ghost Rider and Galactus having this conversation, but also the Watcher dropping in just to tell Cosmic Ghost Rider this is all stupid. But also because shortly after, we get the arrival of the new Guardians of the Galaxy from their alternate future. And it's like the Watcher could have just turned and just been like, look at this, look what you did, look, Juggerduck, nah, this, you know that ain't right. Captain Marvel, okay, actually, like, Jubilee hasn't changed. Cable, you just wanted a reason to go back in time. And Rocket becoming Iron Groot, I mean, that just looks like the result of Rocket having too much time on his hands. Like, too much time and opportunity. But as it turns out, they came back in time to do what Cosmic Ghost Rider could not. But they don't get to because Galactus pretty much kills all of them, with the exception of Cable, who's knocked away by the blast and uses that opportunity to spend like another 20 years in the future to figure out a plan B to come right back and do the same thing. But the reason why Galactus did this, it goes back to what we talked about in the previous video when we discussed how Galactus felt about Cosmic Ghost Rider's decision, and the decision of Galactus being, you know, once he was informed of everything that took place in that future, and him knowing that eventually in that far distant future that Thanos would kill him, Galactus doesn't see anything else past that. Like, he does not get over that. Well, of course you can't see nothing past that because that was it. That was the end of the line. But I mean, he doesn't get over the fact that Thanos killed him, and for that reason alone, he wants him dead. But when Cable returns seconds later, and for Cable, those seconds were like 20 years in preparation. He got a new arm. He also got some technology from Hank Pym in order to shrink Galactus, put him into like a bazooka, and shoot him out into space. Because with 20 years of planning, that's what he came up with. I'm just thinking like, man, don't come back to my time period because I would roast you for taking that long to come up with that. Because I could have told you that or something close to that in like 20 minutes. But when Cable comes back this time, he brings ridiculous reinforcements, and to the point to where Frank is like, okay, I gotta let loose. And he tells the Watcher, watch the baby and don't let the baby watch me. Because once again, trying to raise a better man here. And so, ladies and gentlemen, like the next 8 panels, of which I am only showing 1, but this is what I was talking about, because Frank Castle goes in on everybody. And I'm talking about the chains, the cosmic blast, the penance stare, all used in ways that we would only see Cosmic Ghost Rider use them. Like, it's terrible but beautiful at the same time. And for whatever reason, even though the Watcher wasn't supposed to let baby Thanos see this, he still got a peek of seeing Cosmic Ghost Rider do his worst. And it's one thing to think of the concept of when a child sees something and they want to imitate that or repeat it. And when normal children with decent parents see this and get older, they realize, okay, that's not reality. That's one thing. But for Thanos, who is not a normal toddler, when this toddler sees this and reenacts what he sees stepdaddy do, like, mind you, this is a toddler that can beat up grown men. Like, just stop and think about that for a second. But when Frank blanks out for like 15 minutes, because I kid you not guys, it was madness. But when he gets out and he sees the toddler beating Cable to death with his own arm, stopping him, and then turning around and having to stop Cable from sliding to the future again, this did something, because Cable lets Frank know that Thanos has turned out worse. So much worse. And when he tries to tell him how much worse and gets his head blown off like in mid-sentence, this is where we see that we have another visitor who knew of this event, which is how Frank knew of Galactus and came here. It's how Cable knew of Frank and came here. And this is how the baby Thanos that could be knew of this event and came here. And man, Thanos raised by the Punisher, and of course from seeing all this go down, and us knowing that he would live so long, it wasn't but a matter of time that he would use the same technology that Cable used to also come back straight Terminator style and take out Cable. But with Cable telling us how much worse off that this version of Thanos is than the original, I'm not gonna front, man, that just makes me want to see him in action even more. And it also makes me wonder how long or if this version of Thanos will stick around, because he may have just came back to take out Cable and go back to the future. But let's have a little fun with this. Let's just say for a minute that he stays, because if this Thanos sticks around and runs into the Thanos that is from the near future, our present, the one that came back victorious from Thanos wins, that right there could be a serious problem. Because we've talked about recently with the present Thanos seeing Mephisto, who recently in Doctor Strange Damnation has seen enough Ghost Riders to last an eternity. But when present Thanos goes to see him and tells him, out of all the Ghost Riders that you gonna put together, Frank Castle, leave that one out, which is what we're beginning to see unfold in Thanos' legacy, with his first priority being to delete Cosmic Ghost Rider from existence entirely by making sure that when he died, he actually died. Because Mephisto's the one who really kicked that whole thing off. And by eliminating Frank, he eliminates any posable threat, whether that threat be Frank or anything that Frank would do as Cosmic Ghost Rider, knowing so much about his history in that version of his future. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Man. So now, man, I know in the broad scope, it's a lot going on in this corner of the Marvel Universe right now, which is really why I like addressing it and hopefully clearing up any questions you guys have as far as what we've seen so far. And that way nobody gets lost or left behind too early on, and more people get to enjoy their reading with a better understanding, and everybody else who's not reading, they get to see what they're missing out on and hopefully join in soon. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Which version of Thanos do you feel like is the worst, and what do you feel like we'll see from this new version of Thanos that has been raised by the Punisher? And what would you name him if you give him a new name? Let me know down in the comments, and we'll do it again on the next one. All right, later.